So our caseworker did follow up with us yesterday, and it looks like our file, our home study, like it's kind of the same thing, file, home study. So if you guys are going through the process, you're going to hear those two terms. I hear Atlas. I think he's going to come downstairs. I tried to actually film it, but it's not going to work. She said that our file is really close to being completely processed. And so I guess that is kind of major news. I was like, holy cow. And all of a sudden I realized there's still so much to do. Like, I know I just got finished telling you guys that I got our grocery list saved and ready to go, which that's good. Whew. And I actually had to go back in our Instacart. I don't know if you guys had ever heard of that. It's pretty, I know it's nationwide and it's pretty popular. We originally did Instacart, and it's a company of shoppers that go and grocery shop for you and then they deliver it to you. The only complaint that I had about Instacart was that it's much pricier than when we did curbside with our grocery store. However, the thing that I love about Instacart that our grocery store curbside's not able to do is Instacart has a later delivery time. So that came in handy. I'm trying to think. There were a couple times where I actually had to depend on Instacart to deliver to us like past 9 o'clock at night. So I know I told you guys about us saving our grocery store list and everything being moved over to our Amazon cart. I did forget, actually, I did not put our hair stuff, because I think I'm going to do all of our hair stuff at like Walmart or Target, which is much cheaper. But on our Amazon cart, we have books, we have bath toys and other bath accessories. We have our buttons and our jars for the reward system. And then I'm trying to think what else. I think that is probably the bulk of it. So still haven't spoken to Sean about when we're gonna purchase that or whatnot. You know, we'll see what, you know, how he feels. I mean, if he wants to do all in one, fine. If not, not a big deal. But when our caseworker said that our file could be processed like this week or next week, I was like, holy cow. And I realized I had just gone to our daycare yesterday and I got all of the updated pricing. And I honestly have not sat down to process that, to basically look at, you know, how much our daycare costs going to be. And, you know, with some of the babysitters that we're trying to certify for our home for emergency cases as needed. God forbid if I was in the hospital again. But I mean, so I'm like trying to figure out all of that. And I was up so late last night. Actually, I went to bed earlier than usual. I just became so tired. But so right now I'm actually working on a project that I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so I'm going to kind of move this out of the way. So I love like printing up things and having them to refer to. I do have, so I know I'm like in the month of July planning here. But I do have, let's see here. I do have this week, in May. So I started it in May, and basically I just kind of wrote up a mock schedule. And then down here below in the notes section, because this is probably a better one. So like here on Friday, you know, I get paid at certain Fridays. Sean gets paid certain Fridays, and then like obviously like there are daycare costs that are due every week. And then here in the notes section, I'll actually write out what we're owed that week, and I kind of break it down. And I'll also break it down for like when we need the nanny, you know. So like here, if we were to receive a placement in May, then obviously we would need help, you know, in the afternoon, especially if we were to get a 7th grader, because our age range is 4 to 12, and there are some 12-year-olds that are in 7th grade, but I think most 11 and 12-year-olds are going to be in the 5th and 6th grade, but you never know. So if that's the case, then obviously we would need, a little babysitter nanny. I say nanny, but whatever. But we would probably need someone, or we would definitely need someone to pick them up, because unfortunately daycare does not, even though daycares do go to 12, I don't think they pick up from the junior high. So, but this is a mock schedule and it kind of goes all the way down, but I don't want to show like financial information down there because that is kind of private. But what that helps us do is just whenever we receive a placement call and we know that a placement is coming, I'm able to kind of look at this mock schedule. And it's not set in stone, that's the thing, but it's to help me see, oh, this is what we would be doing or what we can expect to do. Okay, got you. And then I even have some things going on, for the weekends that we can go out and do as a family, and that's been, budgeted correctly. So that was what I was kind of freaking out about, because I was like, oh my gosh, if our family file is almost processed, we have no mock schedules. We have nothing really to kind of help, and for me, I'm the structured person. Like between Sean and I love organizing, love schedules, love routines. Like that's what helps me function. Sean, it's so funny. Sean loves that I do that because he depends on schedules and routines, but he's the one, he will not do it because he doesn't like to do that. But he is, funny enough, I think he's more of a fly by the seat of the pants kind of person than I am. I used to think I was very spontaneous and kind of wild and free at heart, and maybe I was in our younger years, but I've become very I've become very structured and routine. I depend on it. And so for me, because I know these are just mock schedules, it kind of helps me be able to refer to that. So when we know a placement is coming, I can look at the week that I've tentatively planned and say, oh, okay, so obviously this week we're going to be, getting all of this done, because we have a list of what has to be done the first week of placement. Here in Texas, they have a 3 and 30. So 3 and 30. So the first 3 days we have to get the child or children, depending on if it's a singleton or a sibling pair, which is usually 2, or a sibling group, which is 3 or more. But the first 3 days when the placement comes into your home, we have to take them to, we don't have to take them to this clinic, but it's highly recommended because they do a very specific physical and assessment. You can take your child or children to a different pediatrician, but they have to be Texas Health Steps approved. Now, if you are in a different state, depending on what your foster adoption agency requires, or if you were going through Child Protective Services, they're going to tell you, okay, we want you to go to this doctor first, or they may tell you it's fine, just get these things done. So here in Texas, the first 3 days, we have to go see this particular doctor at a clinic, which fortunately for us, it's really close by. It's I think it's 30, maybe 40 minutes of a drive, which is for some of y'all who are in Houston, it takes a little, on average, it's about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to drive anywhere. That's just Houston. So when you hear something that's maybe 30, 40 minutes, including traffic, you're that's right up the street. You're woohoo. But you have to take them to a particular doctor. They have to go through physical assessment, and then of course, if it's during the school year and the child is school age, you have to get them registered ASAP. They have to start immediately. There's Child Protective Services and most agencies are not they're not too crazy on you about getting them registered for daycare, but school is Texas doesn't fool around when it comes to schools. They are very serious. So they want that school-age child in school ASAP. I'm trying to think what else. Actually, I can show you guys. Hold on for just a moment. Here we go. Okay, so here is the 3 and 30. Okay, so basically, first things first is you have to take them to go get an initial medical exam. The CANS assessment is usually used for younger age kids. I think it's for toddlers and preschoolers, but I need to look at my notes just to make sure. Actually, the 3-year-old that we had in our home last year did go through their CANS assessment. And then within 30 days, you have to set up another medical appointment, which will be with their regular doctor, to get a medical checkup through them. And also, they don't mention this here, but I think it's been moved now. The dental appointment can be in the first 60 days, but we've always done a dental appointment in the first 30 days. But that is basically going to be our first 3 days, which is going to be really crazy. So yes, that is going to be our first 3 days with placement, which is pretty crazy. They don't expect you, I don't think they expect you to get the CANS assessment, which is like it is not a psychological evaluation, which is something that a lot of foster children do have to go through, but it's age dependent. So for the CANS assessment, I think what they want you to do is make an appointment and then, obviously go to that appointment. But definitely, they want you to get in to do that medical health check and medical assessment at the clinic. And then with your regular doctor, have that appointment set in for the inside of the first 30 days. And you just have to email your caseworker and let them know, okay, here are the appointments that we have lined up and here's what we've done. But in the first 3 days, we have to go to that special clinic to get the child or all children, however many come into our home. That is, my hair is like weird. Checked out. Fortunately, that particular clinic, when we were training with CPS, they basically said that they make room for you, especially if they know it's a brand new placement in your home. So I'm like, oh, thank God. But honestly, for me, I do everything I can to schedule the regular doctor and dental appointments in the first 30 days. Our last placement, it was a bit of a mess because we were kind of getting conflicting information from our agency at the time and CPS, because last year we were with a private agency. So now we're just with CPS, which, I mean, like, has been so nice to just have one entity talk to you. And so whatever they say goes. So at this point, this is just kind of an update. I've just kind of showed you guys a couple of things that, maybe for you soon to be foster to adopt, adoptive, or just foster parents, maybe this is something for you guys to think about. I can tell you this, if I have something that I can refer to help guide me along that first week or first 2 weeks to kind of help keep me on track, like, okay, so, once we get through these first 3 days, or once we get through this first week, what's next week going to hold? What are some activities we can do on the weekend? Because all of a sudden, when you have kids that are not yours come into your home, I mean, you have nothing. You're starting from ground zero. You have no routine. You have no structure. You have ideas, but if you don't have it written down, to me personally, like, I just feel like I'm going crazy. Like, what are we supposed to do? So it just kind of helps keep me on track. So, oh, sorry, I got my hand there. Anyway, so I hope this was helpful for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!